Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is showing us that true wealth isn't built on luck, hype, or chasing the next shiny thing. It's built on and through strategies, patience, discipline, and creating systems that support the life you actually want to live. She's an engineer, entrepreneur, market investor, and founder of Thriving Ambition Inc. With over 20 years in aerospace and engineering and an MBA from Yale, she helps women think differently about money, freedom, and opportunity. I can't wait to have my brain transformed about those three things for sure. So get ready for a conversation about designing a life on your terms. Please help me welcome the brilliant LaKiesha Tomlin. Welcome, LaKiesha.
Thank you so much for having me, Angel.
Well, thank you. So tell me more about your business and what you actually do for people and women.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually had this company for the past 10 years and it's kind of morphed into a couple of different things. But just this past year, the most focus was going into basically showing people how I learn different things inside of the market, basically just sharing my perspective on how people can, think about their life differently. They don't necessarily have to get another job or anything like that. Just sharing my story and basically how I use the markets as a way to provide an additional income for myself. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. And I really enjoy that. And I'm still a market investor. However, I did see another need. And basically, given that I have so much experience being a technical leader, and especially a woman of color in predominantly male dominated male dominated arenas, hard to get that out. Basically, it was a need for me to talk about technical leadership and just being able to share my experience. And I'm looking to share that with businesses of all sizes at this point, just because in those arenas, there are women who are working and maybe they feel like they're alone or nobody really understands them. And, to be a woman in a male dominated space, you tend to build up some sort of like thick skin to deal with a lot of different things, and you just pivot differently. And I want to be able to share those things with all types of people, all types of women, regardless of what arena they may be in, whether it's entrepreneurship or working in a technical arena, just because I believe that there are some things that I've learned over time that could help people who are looking to basically maximize their time and just be more intentional about the way that they design their life and their career.
So I'm going to make you go back a minute.
Okay?
Yeah. 10 years ago, you started this.
Yes.
What sparked the interest for you to start this? Because something had to happen in your life. It doesn't just whimsically just appear.
Right.
Do you mind telling us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing for me was more of, I saw that people who had, I had worked with people who had side businesses and I wasn't really like interested in the time. I just wanted to focus on my job and progress through there. So I got to a point where I was kind of reaching a maximum of how much money I could make as an engineer. So the next step was go into management. And eventually I did that. But even at that level, I'm like, there's other stuff that I want to do. I have to pay off these student loans. I want to do this and that. So I decided, okay, well, if I started a side business, at least, for the first few years, even if it's not really bringing in any money, there are some tax advantages to that. And I learned that just by reading stuff on the internet. And then I confirmed it with an accountant that I ended up hiring and a lawyer that I ended up hiring. And it's been helpful, from that aspect, to be able to, have like, especially in those earlier years, have like those like small offsets. It wasn't like huge sums, but every bit helped. And, I was learning and growing the company. And then also at the same time, being able to have more of my money working for me in a sense of paying off debt and being able to invest. Now, obviously, none of this is financial advice. This is just me and my own experience. But basically, I saw a business as a vehicle to be able to generate additional income outside of my job. And then I started to learn about all of the different ways that people are making money online. And for me at that time, I wanted to focus on career development because people were always asking me for this. And I was like, well, let me start charging people for this. And that's essentially how the business was born.
Wow. Wow. So learning that and discovering that, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Ooh, 18. Oh my gosh. So so even when I was 18, I felt like I was somewhat entrepreneurial at that time as well. So I would tell my 18-year-old self, I would actually start a company much sooner than I did because when I was 18, I mean, I was in undergrad, I was studying mechanical engineering, and that is challenging. But then, if I knew then what I know now, I know that there are certain types of businesses that I could have started at 18 that, wouldn't have been as time consuming as some of the stuff that I tried and didn't work, didn't work. So I would say start a company. I would say fail early, fail fast, so that way you can pivot to the next thing. And at that time when I was 18, I had different mindsets or a different mindset when it came to money. It was like the stuff that I grew up with and most people grow up with, like money doesn't grow on trees, like it's hard to get money, like all these just very like limiting beliefs. Definitely get rid of those. So that's what I would tell my 18-year-old self.
Yeah, that's a great tip to give my 18-year-old self. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And start a business early. I think I would have started it probably at around 15.
Man, even earlier. That's amazing.
I mean, even when I was 18 or looking for a job and, back then, way back then, it was like you have to look at the one ads. I
Mm,
would always look for something that flexibility. They had
yeah.
flexibility in it because I actually wanted that freedom and flexibility at such a young age. That's just what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. And
Yeah.
that's why I would tell my 18-year-old self to start a company because it can allow some level of flexibility even back when. So when I applied to my first internship, it was on paper application. So so it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I get it. All right. A game changer. Like, what's a key decision that you've seen women make that changed either their business or their personal growth as far as money and
Mm.
and freedom? So a decision, a habit, or strategy that helped them.
Yes. So I like how you phrase this. And the number one thing that stuck out to me was a decision. So first it's making a decision that I'm going to understand money. I'm going to learn how to make money. I'm also going to learn how to use money so that way I could grow it. So those things I believe are very, very important. And they are definitely lessons that I wish I would have learned later. But it wasn't until actually when I started talking about some of the successes that I had in the market, it was really hard for me to talk about money. And it was very, I don't know, it was very scary just because growing up, like most people, they hear the, oh, don't talk about money, sort of language. And I still had that ingrained in my head. And it took a really long time to really get that out. And it was just more of me having that determination to understand money and how it works and how to grow it. Because, I grew up in an area that didn't have a lot of money. Basically, let's put it that way. I grew up in an area that didn't have a lot of money and I saw people struggling. And then once I got to, let's just say high school and college, I saw where one of my classmates, her parents gave her a car when she turned 16. And I'm like, somebody's making money here. Like, how do I get some of that? So it wasn't until later where I started to really make that decision and be intentional about learning how money works.
Wow. Okay. So let's stay on the money topic, if that's okay, because I
Yeah.
believe that is where we need to stay right now. So, because every bit of money relates to business in
Yep.
everything. If you don't have the money to run your business, it's just not going to work.
Exactly.
And if you don't know how to invest your money, it's not going to grow for you further than you just getting new clients. Am I right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I mean, and that is your specialty. So, what is a myth that you wish that most women would stop thinking about money?
Oof. And I feel like there's a couple here, but the one that's sticking out to me the most in terms of myths is that it's hard to understand how money works. It's hard to invest money because, and I'll talk about myself because I used to have this belief. I used to have the belief that if I put some money into the market, it's all just going to evaporate and disappear. That was my fear. So over time, as I started to educate myself through books and things like that, I realized that the likelihood of that happening is very low, especially if I was choosing companies that were strong. Generally, like for me, I went with household names just because I liked the products and I was buying these products, so why not make some money back through an investment? That was my thought. So not financial advice, but something that I did. And that really helped me kind of overcome this idea that if I put money into this company or make this investment, that it's all just going to disappear. And I hear this a lot from women who are looking to understand the markets, who are looking to, find some sort of way to develop themselves in a different way, that they have this fear around money in terms of handing it over, making that investment, when in reality, it is more about just having the education and the understanding in order to get the confidence to be able to invest. And that confidence comes over time. It's not instant. And then also the education piece. I mean, there are so many books by so many credible people out there, that is a really great way to start. So that's exactly what I did, and that's how I built that competence in order to get the confidence to be able to invest my first dollar.
Wow. Okay. So investing, so I'm maneuvering these questions a little bit to you. So as far as investing, do you see where there can be a balance? Could they be a consistency for somebody putting just a certain amount every week, every 2 weeks, every month into to invest? Could there be a balance there for them?
Oh, absolutely. So for me, it was actually like I knew I wanted to invest. And for me, the instead of being the first investment being in the, some company, I made the investment in myself. So
Mm,
I started to, like I said, get educated. There were some websites out there that offer some free information, very credible, that I started there, and I invested the time in order to understand. And this time for me was a little bit over a year where I devoted this time before I put my first dollar into anything. And then as far as once I got comfortable, it was, some time later, but once I got comfortable, I was able to start setting money aside every 2 weeks, not necessarily just putting it into the market, but just setting it aside. So that way, when there was an opportunity that I wanted to take advantage of, I had the money there and wasn't, wishing and hoping that I had the money. Because the thing about the markets is that it's very, it can be very cyclical, and meaning that, you have the highs and lows, of course, but basically, if you study it long enough, at least that's been my experience, study a particular market long enough, you can understand, okay, this could be a good area to get in, because it's the whole like buy low, sell high type of thing. And it's possible. It's totally possible. That's how it worked for me.
wow. Thanks for that, and thanks for that honesty. That is really sweet of you to give that advice and that tip to a balance and how you did that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, what would you say to a woman who's standing on the edge going, I want to invest, but I'm scared? What would you tell her to do?
I would say, and this would be essentially me talking to myself because I went through the same things. So I would say, like, you don't, like, first of all, the markets, if that's the vehicle, the markets are not going anywhere, first of all. So I would say that there's no rush, but at the same time, don't wait too long. Because what I've also seen with some of the women that I talk to is like, they're like, oh, I'm collecting information, or oh, I'm doing my research. And then that quote research turns into 5-10 years and they still haven't made a move. So so those are some of the first two things I would say. And then after that, I would say go slow, like dip your toe in the water, so to speak. So for me, I had a set amount that if I lost 100% of it, I was cool with. And because I was doing my research for like the past year and looking at stuff, and I was like, okay, this money, if it disappears, like I'm cool with that because I understand, that, what could potentially happen. Fortunately, it didn't happen. It turned out to be a really great investment that is still paying me today because I still have those shares, which is amazing. But basically, don't, I like to tell people, don't risk what you like don't truly have. So what I mean by that is, like, there have been times where I only had $100 to put inside of the market, and $100. And that was totally cool. So I wasn't like taking like my rent or like car note, like larger sums that I would be fearful over, and putting that into the market. $100 was palatable for me. And if it all disappeared, I was cool. So that's going to be like the next thing on top of the education, on top, and you understanding the markets, on top of, being willing to just take the first step. And that's just to do the research piece.
And thanks for that honesty, because people jump into this thinking they need thousands of dollars. You were
No.
just so honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, for me, like, there was so much information out there. And I used to also believe that I needed like gobs of money before, I made my first investment, but it's not necessarily like true. Just because I know for a fact, at least especially now, years and years later, right now, I actually, I've done like some tests where I've taken maybe like as small as, I put this in air quotes because it's smallish to me, but probably not for other people. It just depends. But took like $500. And just this past week, I was able to grow it like 40%. So basically, for this amount, actually, it was more. I maybe mess up the math, but let's just say 40%. But basically, it's a gain in a week, and that was cool. So now I could, wait until next week and possibly do the same thing because I know exactly what I'm looking for. So once you build up the skill, then, it's another opportunity for you to be able to, take that money and do whatever with. So for me, I will be paying, down some credit cards. Great. So, not always fun stuff, but in the past, I've done things where I've taken trips. It just this past, actually 2 months ago, I took a trip. I was in the south of France for a month, and the markets pay for that. So amazing. But
Yay.
yeah, it takes time.
What part of France did you go to?
Actually, I went to Paris for a little bit, but I spent the majority of my time in the south of France around Nice area because I was going to a French language school. So I was able to stay there for a month.
Oh my God. Okay. You're going to have to tell me about the French language school. That has to be so much fun. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of work, but it was a great experience. I met some cool people, and I was able to pick up my French language skills a lot more because I've been off and on for years learning French, and I have the time. I looked at my accounts. I had the money, and I took the trip. So I'm really glad that I did that. It was definitely, one of those experiences that people say is once in a lifetime. And I'm grateful that, I had the markets to back me up for sure.
Wow. Okay. I can't wait to hear more about it. All right. Let's do a sneak peek. Let's pull back a curtain. What can we expect to see from you and your business in the next couple of year or two?
Yeah. So for me, in the next couple of years, I still will keep investing on the side because I really do enjoy that a lot. And the biggest thing that I've been focused on is more so that technical leadership. So you started off by saying I've been an engineer for years and all these different things. And that is actually really exciting to me because one of the things that I invest in the most is technology, and being an engineer and understanding not all the technology, but at least understanding the landscape. It allows me to be able to make more confident decisions in the market. And the other thing that I've learned over the years is that engineers, obviously very smart people, but when it comes to leadership, maybe that is lacking. And companies are paying in order to be able to train their leaders to be more effective, basically training them to not only get the work done, but also retain the talent that they have, because the competition out here is fierce, especially like at this point in time, anybody with AI or semiconductors or basically like the little chips inside of our computers, phones, and other electronic devices, like anybody with that experience, like these people are getting snatched up. And there was an article, I want to say about 2 months ago, or maybe 3 months ago now, where companies like Meta was offering like $1 million like salary packages for people with AI. I'm like, holy crap. Like, so there's definitely a really huge push in order to develop their leaders and their teams. So that way people stay, because in the long run, it is a good deal for both the employee and for the company as well in terms of benefits. So I'm more pivoting towards that, doing speaking at companies. And as far as the investing side, I don't have the full idea fleshed out, but I would love to have something similar to like Warren Buffett, where basically inside of a company, he holds a bunch of stocks. So I'm looking at that just because it's a really cool concept, and it's more of, I wouldn't say it's passive. It's definitely not passive, but it's less active than some of the investing things I've done in the past. So that's kind of where I see the business, kind of like having like two branches, maybe under the same umbrella. I'm still trying to figure that part out, but that's what I see in the future.
That's amazing. All right, something unexpected, a little bit more fun here. Something unexpected. We just learned one thing. You went to French school for a whole month, which is so cool. So, what is something else you can tell our audience so they'll go, "Oh my god, she did what?"
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Skydive, swim with turtles. I've been able to tabletop dance. I mean,
Oh wow. Okay. So for me, it's more of travel. So when I hit my 30s, I said I want to travel more. I want to do, these fun things and have cool experiences. So my first, or no, not my first, but my second international trip, I went to France by myself. I did have a friend in country, but the person was working, and I didn't see them 24/7. But it was really cool because it forced me to be able to problem solve and do things on my own. I mean, I've had some sort of experience, with the way that I grew up, but that was really cool. And then that made me want to go on more trips. So I've been to Switzerland, I've been to Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, the UK, and then a whole bunch of other places. So pretty much Europe, I mostly have it covered. And I also been to Asia, I've been to China, I've been to Japan. And there's just so many other places I want to go. But basically just, being able to travel, so much a combination of personal and with work has been really cool. So I think, some people are like surprised that I've been to China. I was like, yeah, I've been there 3 times. So it's really cool.
So something's making me ask this other question. How many languages do you speak or read or
Just right now, just French. I did learn Spanish, or learned Spanish in high school, but I forgot a lot of it. I mean, because I haven't used it or anything like that. But when I was just on a call earlier today with my French tutor, and there was a word that's like, oh, that reminds me of Spanish. And she's like, oh yeah, we had that conversation. But Right now, it's English and French, intermediate French for me at this point.
Wow, intermediate, not even beginner, that's even better. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
You can
it's been a
probably
lot of work.
you could probably pass the test and have dual citizenship at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right. So let's pump up some volume with some music.
All
What
right.
is your go-to music that gets you revved up?
Oh, man.
Your
So
song.
I was gonna say I have a whole playlist of songs. Mostly it's like rap songs from like the early 2000s, late 90s. But my one of my go-to songs is actually Bring 'Em Out by T.I. and Jay-Z. So it's just like the energy is just incredible in that song. So
That is a fun song, by the way.
yes, yes.
All right. Books that you absolutely love or that have taught you something?
Ooh, I would say okay, so from a business perspective, it would be Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule.
Mm.
100% because he says a lot of stuff in that book. And the one thing that I really like is omnipresence, that whole chapter about being everywhere, but with a caveat. I tried to do that omnipresence thing and I was burned out. But what now I know is that do a couple of platforms, at least for me, a couple of platforms really good. And at least I say no more than 2 to start off, but get really good and then scale into other things because by that time you've bumped your head a lot, you've learned a lot, and it helps you be able to adjust to the other platform or the next platform better. At least that's been my experience. I had to bump my head a lot, but I love that book. His whole like go all in, I love that. So that's the number one book for me. And then the second book would be more of a like a leadership type book. And I would say it's How to Win Friends and Influence People
Mhm.
by Dale Carnegie. Like that's a classic book. And, a lot of times, especially me working in male dominated fields, it is like over time, I've been a lot more direct with my communication. And I noticed that sometimes when I talk to certain people, it may be too direct, even though, there's no like it's just normal words. I don't know how to describe it, but it's normal words. But that has really helped me over years, like 10 years, really calibrate the way that I speak to different people because I also learned that different people like to be communicated in different ways. And that's actually a really huge piece of being a technical leader is being able to make that pivot, actually learn that. Actually, I've been reading this book for like 15 years, but I started to actually really use it about 10 years ago and just continue to go back to that book maybe every like year, every 2 years to really just pick out the nuggets just because it's such a very powerful book, in my opinion.
Right. It is. It is like one of my favorite too, both of them.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Words to live by or quote. What is it?
All right. So my favorite quote is actually by Warren Buffett. He says that the stock market is a device to transfer money from the impatient to the patient.
Ooh.
So not just from an investing perspective. I mean, it makes sense from an investing perspective, especially given that he buys and holds essentially forever. That's not quite my style, but also from the standpoint of developing yourself and the stock market, job market. There's some similarities there, and basically just taking that time to invest in yourself and building yourself up. I really like that because that really helps you stand out from the competition. And a lot of times, especially these days, I mean, you could go to like LinkedIn Learning or something like that and pick up, some classes to enhance your understanding of something, and that can significantly increase your value in the marketplace. So that's one of my favorite quotes tied to both the markets and personal development.
All right, LaKiesha, I am your fairy godmother, and I have just dropped down with my wand and tapped you on your head and told you you can have any superpower you want for 24 hours. What would it be?
Oh my gosh. I would say the ability to tell the future.
Ooh,
That, that's
that
what
would
I
be
want.
good. Yeah. What stocks are gonna go
Right.
where?
That's exactly what I'm thinking about. Yes.
I love it. All right. If you believe in motivation, what do you do to get motivated?
Ooh, for me, it's actually a couple of different things. So I have these cards or like these quotes just around my house. That really helps just to kind of keep my mind together. I mean, because I mean, life's, and at times you do need that motivation. So that's one thing. Reminders, and then affirmations. Not in the sense of like telling myself I'm confident. I did do that at one point,
Mhm.
but it's more of building that confidence through small acts. So, and I'm just using confidence as an example, but as small little acts, and um and it's basically just challenging myself to do something that I wouldn't normally do. So those like little things together, and then like I meditate, and I try to exercise just to kind of keep things going. So like a combination of all those things really do help me stay motivated. So for me, it's not just one thing; it's a couple of little things that actually helps me build the confidence and stay motivated, especially during tough times. So like with like right now I'm doing a couple of different things, and to stay motivated, I'm just reminding myself, and these little cards that I have around my house are super helpful to just give me that quick, understanding and quick motivation.
Yep. I love those little like quotes and cards, and they
Yep.
just help us so much. All
Yep.
right. You're so amazing. What is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you?
Yes, thank you so much. The best way for me these days is to connect with me on LinkedIn. So if you're seeing this podcast and you want to connect, just search for my name, LaKiesha Tomlin, and let me know that you saw me on this podcast, just so that way I could, be like, okay, like I can connect with that person on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So, mic drop moment. What is one thing that we didn't touch base on that you wish every female would know and
Mm.
understand?
Um, So for me, the one thing that I wish that more women understood is that they're actually more powerful than they probably think they are.
Mhm.
I mean, no matter what you want to do, somebody has probably figured it out, and you could figure it out. Even if it feels like you have no idea where to start, Google is going to be your best friend to figure that out, and just keep following that thread. Just keep asking yourself, what's next? What's next? And just keep doing that. And eventually do it until successful. That's one thing that I wish more women would know and understand.
What's next? Keep asking what's next. I mean, they can ask Chat and Gemini what's next every single day.
Right.
All right, Lakeisha, it has been a blessing to have you on here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Angel. So great to be here.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.